This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is brought to you by Cervical Kimonos. Action is everything. The famous BJJ gi brand in the UAE and Middle East. Also, they are all over Europe and shipping worldwide. Cervical Kimonos. Action is everything. This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Famous O's Pizza is the pizzeria based in Karachi, Pakistan that specializes in New York style pizza made with the exact same ingredients from New York City. The owner has spent the last many years learning the art of pizza making in New York at some of the best family-owned pizzerias in the city. If you like real New York pizza, you will love Famous O. I'm a pizza lover, as most of you guys know, and I had been there. It's so perfect, like a pizza dreamland. The environment, the flavors, the vibe, and the owner is called Dr. Pizza for a reason. You must visit or even order from them. Access Famous O's Pizza on Instagram and Facebook. This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Pacific Multi Products, PMP, an Adam G Group company, your most reliable supplier of raw materials in Pakistan, specializing in petrochemicals, rubber, and textile raw materials for the Pakistan market. Access www.pmp.com.pk. This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Soulside. It's an industrial design and art studio also based in Karachi, Pakistan. They run creative design workshops throughout the year and also manufacture unique collections of functional pieces. Be the Ocean is one of the series inspired by Samara Hunt's The Seas, a story about a woman who, despite her human shortcomings, believes that she belongs to the water. The collection has been launched as a functional wood and epoxy resin art series and includes ocean trays, platers, planters, wall installations, and furniture pieces. The entire series is now up and live on the Instagram business account. Access at Soulside Studio. This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Trauma Release and Wellness Center is a wellness base in Karachi, Pakistan that aims to empower people through trauma recovery and personal development through the use of trauma release, exercise, and other therapeutic practices. They release the tension from the body that helps in healing individuals and groups from within. For more details, access www.trwcentre.com. And last but not least, this episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by FitMap, your one-stop shop to all things fitness.
You are now tuned in to this week's episode of our podcast. Today we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. By sharing our collective expertise, we will show you how to harness, control, and use your own skill set to achieve ultimate success and live the life you want. And now, please welcome your host.
Thanks, Rafe. Hi, everyone. I'm Carlos Almeida, 3rd degree BJJ black belt. Let me introduce our guest today. He's a brown belt, represents Carlson Gracie team. Also, a head instructor at Carlson Gracie team Karachi. Speak 4 languages, Urdu, English, German, and Japanese. Also, he had training and compete all over Europe, having conquered many medals in several of the tournaments. Ladies and gentlemen, with us today, my brother, Coach Alisha Ahmad. Hello everyone, we are here again with the Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast. Today, as you know, my very good friend, my brother, Alicia. How are you doing, brother? Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for having me, Carlos. It's a real pleasure to be here. And I hope we can have, a good chat about jiu-jitsu and maybe some coffee.
Of course, that's great. Alicia, I usually started asking my guests about their origins, childhood and teenager time, something like that, and how you grew up, how you start your life, basically. Can you share with us?
So I was born and raised in Karachi, Pakistan. I've lived here my whole life. I just left for university for about 10 years. I did some work in the UK. Um, I wouldn't say, I mean, I think I had a good childhood. It was a bit unusual in that I went to a German school in Pakistan. So I speak fluent German, which always baffles people. They're like, why do you speak German? Why did you go to a German school? Um, yeah, it was a very good school and they had good programs and it was just different. So um, I'm lucky. I think I was one of the last generations that grew up outside, without too much internet and TV and all of that stuff. We still had that. We grew up with the internet, but not too much. So yeah, I mean, unremarkable, but good. A good childhood.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Also, as you said, it's not normal to see someone who study in a German school. How is that for you? You use it that in your life when you become adult, or only on that experience?
I think I use it still every day because some scientific studies show that when you think in a certain language, the way you think changes. If I think in French or Urdu or English or whatever. So growing up in that German school environment, I think taught me to be very organized and disciplined, I guess. So I have a lot of friends from the UK and they just think I'm really weird. I have a lot of friends here and they think I'm really weird, so I don't quite fit in anywhere except jiu-jitsu, and it is what it is.
Awesome, awesome. And about your sports education, how you start in which sport and how BJJ come to your life?
So most Pakistani schools, I'm not sure what their curriculum is like, but most kids here grow up playing cricket. Now kids play football. I used to play a lot of floor hockey, like indoor floor hockey. A lot of swimming. We used to have some good gymnastics classes, so that was my foundation at the German school. When I was in high school, I used to get into a lot of trouble, So my father made me join the Navy swimming team. So I used to swim for the Pakistan Navy as a civilian, and I got selected to swim for Pakistan for the national team, and I had the choice to either start training for the Sydney Olympics or to go to college, and I chose college, which I still think is a good idea. Yeah, in university, it was just mostly lifting weights, bodybuilding, get the nice muscles, try and look good. And I had some goals. I wanted to, deadlift a certain amount, bench press a certain amount. And once I hit those goals, I was like, okay, now what? What do I do? And I was into Japanese culture a lot, so I started kendo, which is like Japanese fencing. I did that for about a year, and then I was like, I'm not going to be walking around with a stick. So I started looking for good defensive martial arts, good aggressive martial arts, and I started with Muay Thai. I did that for about 3 or 4 months, and then it was at the same club. It was at Carlson Gracie club, and I said, hey, let's try jiu-jitsu, and immediately I fell in love. I was hooked, from the first roll.
That's the story of many of us, bro, for sure.
That's it.
So it's quite of interesting also the opportunity to join the Navy, right? Even you choose the university after that, but not everybody get this opportunity. I say that for you because in my perspective, when I was at the age of 18 here in Brazil, the boys go to armed forces, and they choose, you go, you don't go, and this and that. And the first question there is that, do you want to serve your country? And I said yes, but I'm small and very skinny at that time. And I think I don't remember exactly if it's a captain or major who did this first interview. He said something like this: "Did you understood my question?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he repeated the question. Then I said, "Yes, sir. I want to serve the country. I want to serve the armed forces." But at the end of the story, they said, "No, you are too small, too short, you're too skinny. Go home."
Their loss.
Yeah, maybe I win.
Yeah, I mean, everything for the best, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe if I being there, I don't start jiu-jitsu and we never get this conversation.
Exactly. I believe, I'm a true believer in everything happens for the best. So you just have to hang in there.
Yeah. Brother, for the people who don't follow us yet, maybe it's the first contact with us. I know because I'm your fan, you know that. And you still giving classes on Zoom, right? But explain to the people who was interested in this episode how the quarantine's working for you, uh, your exercise at home, this class on Zoom, and your family time, how you manage all of this.
Um, I really like the idea of balance. I think if you can create balance, you can be very powerful in life in general. But, for anyone that does jujitsu or anyone that loves jujitsu, the truth is there's no balance. We like to think, yeah, I have a day job. Oh, I'm going to work 9 to 5 and then I'm going to go teach jujitsu, or I'm going to spend this much time with family. But jujitsu takes over, whether it's your diet, it's your meal planning, it's your recovery, it's your sleep. Jiu-jitsu pretty much gets priority, and my wife, she'll kill me. She'll kill me for saying this, but she knows, I say, of course, family first. And of course, family does take priority in a lot of aspects. But the truth of the matter is that when I decided to open an academy, it was a big decision. It was a very big decision, and it's a very big part of my life now. So quarantine, I still train every day. We do Zoom classes 3 times a week, and I try and train at least 5 to 6 days a week, at least. I think, like I said, everything's for the best. So even though people are freaking out, oh my God, there's no jujitsu, I can't roll, I'm going to be a blue belt, I'm going to be, I'm going to lose all my jujitsu. I don't think that's the case. Sometimes if you have an injury or something happens and you get to take a break, your mind is still working. So when you get back on the mats, you have a different perspective. So I'm using this time to build myself up, do some boxing drills, do a lot of kettlebell exercises, do lots of strength and conditioning, the things I don't get to do when jiu-jitsu is a priority. And of course, number one, absolutely right now, is family, which is the best.
Awesome. To get this in a main point, the COVID don't impact so much your practice, as you said, right? Jiu-jitsu or even physical activities. And how you think the people, when that thing get under control, how you think the people resume the mat? They will be more strong mentally. Of course, if you practice, if you have a good mindset,
you'll be stronger on mental game, right? On the mind games. But about the bodies, I mean, because jiu-jitsu, we know, we need to do a lot of effort with our joints, our ligaments, and muscles. How do you think in general, not only in your academy, but in general, how you see this scenario after the pandemic gets over?
I think it can go two ways. I think either there are a lot of people who've taken a big break, you know, their hands have healed, their fingers don't hurt, their joints don't hurt so much, and they're just like, you know, I prefer this life. They can get lazy or whatever. And some other people are, you know, very hungry still for jujitsu. It's such an important part of their life. Like I was listening to your podcast with Coach Atif from TFF, and he was saying how jujitsu is a de-stressor. So many people that train, you know, jiu-jitsu is such an important part of our mental health, not just our physical health. And just like an observation, now with quarantine and everyone being off jiu-jitsu, so to speak, I find it very interesting that a lot of people are saying, oh, coach, you know, for example, we're not going to do Zoom classes. We're going to start real jiu-jitsu. What is real jiu-jitsu? You know what I mean? Like jiu-jitsu is the mindset of overcoming any obstacle. I left the UK 4 months after receiving my blue belt. And when I was a white belt, all I wanted was my blue belt. That's all I cared about. I was like, I want my blue belt. I want my blue belt. And when I got it, I found out that I was moving back to Pakistan. And initially I thought, oh my God, look, everyone who's been promoted with me, they're all going to progress so much faster because the level here is higher. Who am I going to train with? And all these sort of thoughts went through my head. But I just decided that no matter what happens, if it takes me 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I'll never quit. And I think, you know, whether it's an injury or some family issues or something that happens, what jiu-jitsu teaches us is to never quit. And so people who are taking it easy right now, I'm judging them, you know, to be completely honest, because you can't let your foot off the gas pedal. You just got to keep pushing no matter what comes your way. Of course, family and, you know, all sorts of things happen. But otherwise, there's really no excuse.
Yeah. I was discussing with a friend by WhatsApp 2 days ago. He started at the same time than me. And we're talking about, man, you can imagine if that happens on our blue belt time or even purple belt time. I have nothing because even VHS, maybe 2 months, 3 months after the tournament finish. Like when Brasileiros finish, they took the tapes, make some copies, and we received that in Sao Paulo maybe 4 months later. How we can improve. And now the youngsters, they complain, oh, I want to do on my house for 6 months or whatever. I said, man, come on. That's a gift for you.
Yeah.
And Alicia, this is a kind of question, but it's a personal question I have to you because, as you said, you listened the podcast with Atif, and I said the same thing. I can't do split my attention with many things. How you balancing? You said balance is too much important, but this thing, a businessman, a coach, academy owner, and athlete life. Explain for me, please. I want to learn this.
There's no balance. Like I said, when I'm at work, you know, of course, when you're involved in an activity, you need to have some kind of discussion or you need to have a meeting with someone or whatever. You're focused on that. But, you know, if you get some time to read some emails or reply to some emails, my mind starts to work on, oh, the techniques for the class, you know, what should we focus, who needs to work on what. I think, you know, we have a very unique situation in Pakistan because jiu-jitsu is so fresh here, you know, to try and teach the techniques for different, like, you know, when I go to London and I train in London, there are so many black belts and everyone has their own style and different body types and the way they teach. And I'm one person, you know, I think my jiu-jitsu is mediocre, but I'm still trying to learn, and I want to teach someone who's 50 kilos. I want to try and teach them what's going to work for them. I want to teach a 100 kg guy what's going to work for him. I want to teach some of the smaller people, you know, what's going to work for them. And I'm 90 kilos, 6 foot, so my style is very different. But I need to try and think of what's going to work for different people. So I'm always studying, always trying to learn. Um, and and yeah, it takes up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of time and mental space. Um, but there are a lot of things I've started doing, like after training, always yoga, always after training. You have like 45 minutes to cool down, stretch. That helps your heart rate come down. Your nervous system relaxes. You can start to focus on different thoughts, you know. Um, and I mean, as an athlete, that's just full time because you're looking after yourself. So, am I hydrating enough? Am I getting enough nutrients? Am I eating enough vegetables? Am I eating enough fruit? Blah 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 blah. So it's difficult to switch off. I find it very difficult to switch off. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not so bad on this, right? Because you said
Yeah.
you have no balance. So I don't feel guilty, right?
No one should feel guilty. It's very difficult. I mean, the journey is never ending, right? We're always trying to get better.
Yeah, yeah. You touching a point. It's very important for me, and I said to every beginner. By beginner, I mean white belt till the blue belt, 2 stripes or sometimes 3 stripes, right? The beauty of BJJ is that you can apply the same technique with little variations, and you can apply if you have a 50, if you have 100, if you are taller, if you are smaller.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of the game, in my opinion. And you said exactly that. When you find someone with some body type, you try to improve his body type with some kinds of techniques, and the
Techniques,
opposite
yeah.
is also true. That's the amazing thing about our art, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And you know, there's a saying, jiu-jitsu is for everyone, but everyone is not for jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
And you know, that's also very much true.
Indeed. Brother, about BJJ scenario in Pakistan, you said it's too fresh, but I went there 2015, 17, and 18. I saw a lot of improvements. Of course, everybody has something to improve. But I'm so glad when I left Pakistan last time, because I saw many people improving in the academies with more people practicing BJJ. Uh, can you tell us about the scenario in Karachi and even in Pakistan before this outbreak coming?
I think jiu-jitsu just before the COVID-19 outbreak was really just improving and getting better and better. Uh, we had a tournament which the Brazilian embassy in Islamabad helped us organize, and we had Master Carlson Gracie come and visit us. And the level, of course, you know, yes, we have some high colored belts, But I remember listening to a podcast by Daniel Strauss, the Raspberry Ape, and he had Mauricio Gomez, Roger Gracie's father, on. And he was talking about how when he came to the UK and he started a club, how difficult it was. And I remember him saying it takes 15 years to develop a good club. So I find in Pakistan generally, a lot of places in the world, Jiu-Jitsu is a business for a lot of clubs, you know. People just want to increase the numbers, they want to get members in, and it becomes a little bit soft. That's not what I want at our club. When I first went to Carlson Gracie in London, they had made the front door on Richford Street. They had made it, it was in Richmond. They had made the door heavy. So if someone came and they tried to push the door and it was heavy and they got a bit nervous, they'd say, oh, never mind. Anyone who's even had that slightest inkling of doubt in their mind about whether they want to do this or not. So I made it difficult for people to find us initially, Now we've got a lot of people coming and training, but it's important, I think, to establish the club and develop a strong gym with good jiu-jitsu, and then start looking at expanding and becoming more of a business or whatever. So there are some good clubs in Pakistan. There's some good jiu-jitsu guys. Of course, there's Coach Jazzy Rashad Lone in Islamabad, in Lahore, who runs Rogue Fitness and Checkmat. He's got some good guys like Shariar, Qureshi, and Waqar Omar, or some solid purple belts. TFF in Islamabad, I roll with Coach Atif. Of course, he's a very strong, tough guy. Doesn't look his age, trains hard. Excellent coach. And them being slightly more an MMA club, they have some very tough guys. Great fun to roll with them. Everyone's really tough. But we're the only jiu-jitsu club, solo jiu-jitsu club. Everyone else is an MMA club. They teach this, they teach that. Master Carlson was here, and I was saying, there's a club in Karachi. They teach like 15 different martial arts, and he's like, that means they teach nothing.
Yeah.
Which is, you know what I mean? So it's getting better, but we still have a long way to go. Very, very long road ahead of us. And I'm in no rush. I don't think jiu-jitsu should be anything that can be rushed. So we just take our time and chip away every day, brick by brick.
Perfect. As you said, the people have these kind of weird thoughts. They want to look for a place who teach everything. In my mind, first of all, you don't gonna follow every class. I want to do Kung Fu, I want to do Taekwondo, I want to do Jiu-Jitsu, I want to do Judo, and you don't want to do all these martial arts. That's the first point in my mind. Second thing, even if you do two, I do two martial arts, like I don't know, Judo and Jiu-Jitsu, because they are very close.
Yeah, two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Okay, but the guy who teach this martial art over there. We have this same problem here in Brazil. We have more academies, of course, than Pakistan of BJJ. But many guys, like, they train 1 year and they disappear, like 1 year again. Then they return, they put on Facebook, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. And they are a brown belt for stripes or even black belts. And I said, man, and the class is huge, like 50, 55 guys. I said, man, why you do that with my art? I think like that. I know it's selfish, but I think like that. because these kind of guys don't represent our art. When I check Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and I look that, I said, don't do that with my art, because I know many guys like you, like the guys in Lahore, Islamabad, and guys all around the world doing so hard work to be genuine, to do something really good, and some guys crazy do this kind of stuff. And it's not here only, you know that.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Many places, even in Pakistan, have a guy who become a joke on social media because they took picture with an armbar without the arm. The arm is
yeah. He's like a
outside.
meme now. yeah.
Come on. So, never mind. Let's go. One thing about your mindset, what I love is that every place you want to travel for work because of your job or something like this, you bring your gi with you. That's amazing, bro. That's amazing. I really appreciate you do that. Please never stop to do that.
The thing is, Carlos, I'm very lucky that I had such great role models in my instructors in London. Wilson Jr., Dickie Martin, Simon Hayes. Like Simon has this diary online. There's like a Facebook page, and he is Oscar-winning sound recordist. So he has to travel a lot for work. He does a lot of Guy Ritchie movies, X-Men films, and so on and so forth. So whenever he travels for work, he's away for a long time, and he'll be in Morocco, he'll be in Portugal, he'll be in the US. He travels all around the world. And I was a blue belt, and I remember reading his diaries, which he would post online, of how it was to train in some Eastern Bloc countries and to train here and there. And it just inspired me, training with such good people who are down to earth, humble, world champions. For me, coming from somewhere like Pakistan, where I used to think, oh yeah, I'm a tough guy, and then you go and you meet people from all walks of life who come on the mat and they're all killers. Someone can be a lawyer, someone can be a plumber, someone can be a carpenter, someone can be a delivery guy, someone can be a judge, and they're all killers, and it really humbles you, and you have a lot of respect for these people. And it just taught me to work hard, and that's why now whenever I travel, I'm lucky I get to travel for work. I take my gi, and everywhere I go, everyone has been welcoming. I think only one or two places ever someone has asked me to pay. I don't mind paying, of course, I always offer. But there's this brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever you want to call it in jiu-jitsu, that wherever you go and you say, I'm traveling and I'd like to visit your club, they welcome you with open arms.
Yeah. Today I was listening a podcast, the Raw Radio. It's a good one. It's new. I think they have 5 or 6 episodes, but they said something very interesting. When we found another people or a club or something genuine, in few seconds or in a minute, we start to talking and start to be truth with these people, like we meet each other like 10 years ago. That's kind of brotherhood. It's amazing. I really don't see this kind of thing in other sports.
I agree completely.
And another question I really wanted to ask you, because we are doing this kind of conversation to go there and try to training and of course learning. When you was a white belt and when you got your blue belt, which way you choose to be your best way to learn? You try just to memorize, take some pictures, make some videos, or you get a notebook and write it down? Which one you think it's the best way to learn, bro?
I think videos are the best way to learn. I used to take notes. I have notes from 2012. I took notes for many, many years. But when you go back and read the notes, at least my notes, I don't understand them. I kind of get an idea, okay, but you miss so many details. So now it's a new technique. If I'm traveling and I'm in London or wherever, I'll complete the class and then I'll grab a partner and I'll say, hey, do you mind, if we just go over the techniques we did today? And I'll just set up the camera and quickly record in 1 or 2 minutes all the drills, and then you have it with you, And anytime I want to teach, or I want to drill, or I want to go back to something, I can just go back and look at the video.
Yeah, you're so lucky because I'm from 1998. to have a camera to film some videos to remember after, it's so expensive. So we took all notebooks and pencil and do like 3, 4, 5 notebooks till we reach the purple or brown belt.
But yeah, definitely times are changing, and I think jiu-jitsu is changing. The way people learn, the rate at which they learn, the quality of the tournament jiu-jitsu or sport jiu-jitsu is really just improving at an exponential rate worldwide, everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, because the guys looking to me right now and said, "Oh, these old men don't know. We have YouTube nowadays. We have DVDs or even online classes." I just mean, of course, I got DVDs and then I have some files on extra HD to watch sometimes, but back on the day we have just a piece of paper and a pencil. We don't have more than that. One more thing, because the guys stop to complain, is that they have nothing to complain nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, they'll find something. They'll always find something.
Yeah. And brother, if you give me this chance, I want to change a little bit the topic here. I want to talk a little bit about coffee.
Sure.
Because I think, at least in my mind, I saw many BJJ guys who every time before the session took at least a cup of coffee. Which kind of relationship you have with coffee?
I have a very loving relationship with coffee, but I understand. I'm a big nerd. I'm a big nerd when it comes to training, nutrition, performance, all of these things. So coffee, apparently, the best time to have it is a few hours after you've woken up, right? Because when you wake up, there's natural stress hormones, cortisol kick in, and you actually don't need coffee. So I have 1 cup a day.
Only?
And only. I love it. I love my 1 cup. I cherish it. I'd love to have 2, but I know that it just builds up in your system, and the half-life is 8 hours, and all this nerdy stuff that, if I have 10 grams of caffeine after 8 hours, there's still 5 grams in my blood. After another 8 hours, there's 2.5 grams, and so on and so forth. So on the weekends, I try not to have any coffee, which just means I'm sleepy. I'm just sleepy and in a bad mood mostly, which sucks for my family. But but I'm doing it all in the name of good health and nutrition.
Right. And which place is your favorite place to take your cup of coffee?
I make my coffee at home always, and I take it to work usually. But I do like different kinds of coffee. So some days, whatever, I can make a latte at home. What I really like is cold press coffee. So you take some beans, you grind them very coarsely, and put some cold water, cover it, and keep it in the fridge for 24 hours and 36 hours even. And then you pour it out through a fine cheesecloth so it's nice and clear. And the flavor you get from that coffee, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. Because you don't burn any of the flavoring off. It's all, you get the full spectrum. And it has a kick to it. So that's one of my favorite coffees.
So probably I'm doing something wrong because I I usually take 1 liter, 1.5 liter per
I
day.
know. I remember when you came to Karachi, it was either Coca-Cola with caffeine, of course, or it was coffee and just pounding it, pounding it.
By the way, I stopped Coke since last
I know,
December.
I know, I
Yeah, I
remember.
send you a message,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah, you did.
Because for me, it's a very good achievement, you know?
Absolutely, no. I mean, 100%. It's a fantastic achievement. I remember how much you love Coke. I mean, at least with like dinner or with a meal, you'd have two, at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And even if I probably change the caffeine from Coke to more coffee, at least I leave sugar.
Less sugar. Yeah, less sugar. Sugar is, I mean, everyone knows sugar is like the worst thing. Um, I love sugar, I love sugar, but I'm in a constant battle of trying not to have any. So I have good days and bad days, like
Yeah,
everyone.
I trust you. I absolutely trust you. Because you know which kind of coffee I like it. Like here in Brazil, we have something. I don't know if you try when you've been here. Sonho, you know sonho. It's like sweet bread.
Mm,
It's close to donuts. It's close, not the same thing, but it's close. And of course, lots of sugar. But what
yeah.
I like is that coffee without any sugar
Hmm.
and this thing. Man, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's totally unhealthy, but it's amazing.
The food in Brazil it's amazing. It's wild. It's just the energy in South America it's incredible. I mean, I remember I went in 2014, and just the quality of the food, South America, Brazil, you guys have some really good nutrition going on over there. The meat, the fish, everything's fantastic.
Açaí.
Oof. I mean, this is probably too much for your viewers, but I ate so much acai in Rio. I was pooping purple. I swear.
And you
Oh.
is not the first gringo to say that.
Good times.
Nice, nice. uh, Rather back to BJJ.
Mm.
In America, they start again to do some tournaments, only with gates closed, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to know for you if for BJJ, sub only is a good format, or the competition like IBJJF, UAJJF is the best one? Which one you prefer?
I mean, IBJJF is definitely not the best. They just give the best medals, that's it. It's just a nice shiny medal and you get a nice title. Say, oh, I won this IBJJF tournament. I like Grappling Industries. They had some cool rule sets where, knee bars, from purple belt and blue belt, pretty much all submissions except heel hooks are allowed, which I like. So I like EBI rule set, and of course ADCC rule set. Sub only is great. But yeah, tournament jiu-jitsu with the points, most people are on the same page that it's led to a bit of stagnation in jiu-jitsu. And, the real purpose of jiu-jitsu is self-defense. And the basics, the foundation, giving up, I pull guard because that's what you need to do in tournament. But you should know how to take someone down. You have to have good stand-up game for sure. So yeah, sorry for the long answer, but yeah, sub only definitely. That's the true essence of jiu-jitsu.
Right. Don't want to be sorry, brother. We are here for you, and all kind of thoughts is good because our listeners, our viewers can take full ideas from what have on our guest mind, close to the by the way, I pretty love ADCC rules. The only thing to give us, okay, all joints is allowed, just take it, grab it, go home, That's
grab anything.
Yeah, that's simply amazing. Still on sub only because they paying money for the athletes. Of course, the athlete don't will be rich if they won that, but it's a good way because, as you said, IBJJF give a good medal, nice medal, but not a nice rule set, and even don't pay a good amount of money on their tournaments. On that,
of course,
yeah, on that events like Polaris, Fight to Win, many of these particular events, they pay some money. Do you think after the things get normal, that will be increased or will be hold a little bit for a while?
The sub-only fights, I mean...
The money price.
Oh, the money price. The prize money, I mean, I think it's just going to go up with time. Polaris, on Flow Grappling right now, they've got Fight to Win. They've got all kinds of tournaments that are happening every weekend. And I'm so glad for that, You get to watch some nice fights every weekend, which is awesome. And it's, of course, good for professional athletes to win some money so that they can work towards having that as their life goal, unlike what it used to be for IBJJF athletes.
Yeah, I really agree with you. You said before you are a guy who really nerd with training regime, recovery regime, but jiu-jitsu is a tough sport, right? Can you relate some injury as a worst ever you had?
2017 at a tournament in Munich. It was the Munich Open. In the no-gi division, I tore my pec major. At the time, we didn't know what happened. I had passed this guy's guard, and I was hooking his hip from top position. And he was from Kazakhstan. His jiu-jitsu wasn't great, but he had good wrestling. And I think he was pissed that I took him down. So I passed his guard, took him down, and when I was in side control, he took my arm, and I was like, I'm safe from here. I don't think he can get a Kimura. But he just took my arm straight up, 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 up in that direction until I just heard pop, pop, pop. And I screamed, of course. And the match was over, and I thought, oh my God, my shoulder. I've done something to my shoulder. This is the dreaded injury, because shoulder is such a complex joint. I said, this is it for me. But then I was lucky. I was traveling on to London. I got to see some good doctors there, and it turned out I had a pec injury, pec major tear, which was pretty clean tear. I had to have surgery to reattach the muscle to my arm bone. And I think for a few days mentally I was down, but I was doing like 100 burpees still. I was still training. Throughout my injury, I trained. I went to Carlson, Gracie. I tucked my arm into my belt, and I drilled whatever I could, because for me, learning from an instructor live is so valuable that I'm not willing to give that up. And I think even after my surgery, I was on the mat like in a week, with smart training partners, not doing anything crazy, of course, but just, trying to learn. Because I teach 5 days a week. And to learn from someone is like a huge blessing. And I never want to pass up that opportunity.
Yeah, I can get your point. Sometimes when I was younger, I broke some fingers on training, this and that. And the guys on my other job said, "Oh, you broken your finger. Why you don't stop to do this?" I said, stop? I want to go this evening to the session.
Yeah.
Just because one finger, I have 10. What are you talking about? Don't say that to me again, please. But most of people who never practice BJJ, they can't get this point, bro.
They can't understand. Yeah, they'll never understand. I found a picture recently of when I was a kid. I think I was like 6 or 7 years old. I had a No Fear t-shirt. Remember the brand No Fear? And on the back, there's a surfer falling off a wave, like a huge wave crashing. And it said, "Spectators will never know what it means to hurt for a reason." And that's the life we live now, like we get hurt all the time, but we love jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
Yeah. I broke my nose once in jiu-jitsu, training Kimuras as a white belt.
Whoa.
And I was preparing for a tournament. This guy turned to Kimura me, and his heel came straight to my nose, cracked like a Pringle. I knew immediately it was broken, so I ran to Simon, who's teaching the class. I was like, "Simon, I think I've broken my nose." So he looked at me and he's like, "Yep, it's definitely broken." And he didn't want to touch it because of, he didn't know me. I was a fresh white belt, and health and safety and all kind of legal things. He was like, "Look, the hospital's just across the street. Just go there, And I remember I came back. I fixed my nose, and I came back like the next day, and I was like, "I still want to compete." And he was like, "I fucking love you." That's the bulldog spirit, that we have in jiu-jitsu or Carlson, Gracie, or whatever. Yeah, man, from white belt, I was hooked. Never gonna stop.
Yeah. What you said to him is the dream of all black belts. When you got some new guy, some fresh meat,
Yeah.
and something wrong happened.
Yeah.
That's our favorite word, Okay, yeah. I want to keep here.
I mean, I think it is I started teaching jiu-jitsu for very, very selfish reasons. I just wanted to train. So I was like, the only way to train at that time in Karachi, there was nobody. I was the only blue belt. And I was teaching purely for selfish reasons to have training partners. But now, being a coach and seeing people get better, seeing the positive impact it can have on people's lives, I think it's one of the most rewarding jobs anyone can have. If you do it well. I think if you do it well, it can be a really, really positive um, thing to have in your life.
Yeah, if you do in a right way, in a good way, because I believe on that. I guess we already had this conversation my last time in Karachi. Uh, serve first is the best thing. If you serve first, because everybody has a gift, right? If your gift is teach BJJ or spread some BJJ technique, please share this, and do your best to see other people doing what you doing as well, right? Mm-hmm. That's the perfect way in BJJ, in my opinion. And you said you teach 5 days a week, right? Yeah. Out the mats, how is your relationship with the team?
It's pretty good. I like to, I mean, I think jiu-jitsu improves your intuition, like your sixth sense or whatever you want to call it. So they're just some people that you meet, you immediately connect with, immediately you can bond with. Of course, you know, people who've been training with me the longest, of course, I'm the closest to. Because we meet 5 days a week, we don't necessarily meet outside jiu-jitsu. Of course, when you see them, you're so happy. But every day after class, I do like a yoga session or a stretching session for 45 minutes. And we just sit around and talk crap, you know, for 45 minutes. Everyone's laughing, having a good time. So that's our social. Outside the mats, you know, we try and go for, you know, team lunches and things like that. But yeah, I'm not a real people person, you know. I don't like people. I don't like crowds. I don't like you know, going to meet people, and jiu-jitsu is just the best thing for me. We're all like-minded. We all want to help each other. We all have that respect for each other. You know, there's a boundary. I guess that's the German in me. I like boundaries, you know. So yeah, I get on with everyone pretty much.
Great, but these 45 minutes, even if you guys are inside the mats yet, it's kind of resenha. You know what means resenha?
No.
That's what you are doing there for 45 minutes. Brazilian guys in Rio said that's a resenha. That means it's kind of hang out, but you don't want to leave the mat to hang out, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's some weird thing to explain in English, but it's something like that.
Yeah, 100%. There's some people that hang around for ages, you know. We're like, guys, we're closing the gym, everyone, you know, get out now. But yeah, it's a great environment, I think. That's just the beauty of jiu-jitsu, you know, it brings people together.
Yeah, absolutely. My brother Alisha, I wanna call the coffee break because I have some guys to support the podcast, and I want to show them for our viewers. Okay, then we will return and keep this amazing conversation. Okay.
Sounds good.
This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is brought to you by Cervical Kimonos. Action is everything. The famous BJJ gi brand in the UAE and Middle East. Also, they are all over Europe and shipping worldwide. Cervical Kimonos. Action is everything. This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Famous O's Pizza is the pizzeria based in Karachi, Pakistan that specializes in New York style pizza made with the exact same ingredients from New York City. The owner has spent the last many years learning the art of pizza making in New York at some of the best family-owned pizzerias in the city. If you like real New York pizza, you will love Famous O. I'm a pizza lover, as most of you guys know, and I had been there. It's so perfect, like a pizza dreamland. The environment, the flavors, the vibe, and the owner is called Dr. Pizza for a reason. You must visit or even order from them. Access Famous O's Pizza on Instagram and Facebook. This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Pacific Multi Products, PMP, an Adam G Group company, your most reliable supplier of raw materials in Pakistan, specializing in petrochemicals, rubber, and textile raw materials for the Pakistan market. Access www.pmp.com.pk. This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Soulside is an industrial design and art studio also based in Karachi, Pakistan. They run creative design workshops throughout the year and also manufacture unique collections of functional pieces. Be the Ocean is one of the series inspired by Samara Hunt's The Seas, a story about a woman who, despite her human shortcomings, believes that she belongs to the water. The collection has been launched as a functional wood and epoxy resin art series and includes ocean trays, platters, wall installations, and furniture pieces. The entire series is now up and live on the Instagram business account. Access at Soulside Studio. This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Trauma Release and Wellness Center is a wellness base in Karachi, Pakistan that aims to empower people through trauma recovery and personal development through the use of trauma release, exercise, and other therapeutic practices. They release the tension from the body that helps in healing individuals and groups from within. For more details, access www.trwcenter.com. And last but not least, this episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by FitMap, your one-stop shop to all things fitness.
Hello everyone, we are back here on Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast with Alicia from Karachi, from Carlson Gracie team. He's one of the genuine brown belt over there. Alicia, here on our podcast, we have a game, what I call The Game. I think it's not a fancy name, but that's what I named this game. It's 10 back-to-back questions. If you accept, I will do some questions and please answer the first thing you have in your mind. Can you participate with me?
Yes, please.
So let's go. Gi, blue, white, or black?
White.
Nice, traditional. Very good. Jiu-Jitsu with gi or no gi?
Always with the gi.
Why?
I find that you can be more technical with the gi. I do no gi. I do a lot of no gi, but I hate it, and that's why I do it, because everyone has to know no gi.
Nice answer.
But I prefer gi any
nice
day.
Nice answer. Always trying to push your comfort zone forward, right?
A bit too much.
Right. Next one. Academy or arena? You think the nicest place you ever been to compete or to train?
Nicest place I've been to compete or train. I think competing under floodlights is a pretty awesome feeling. One of the competitions I did again was in Munich, and in the evening they had the floodlights in like the sports arena, and it just feels pretty cool.
Awesome. Which kind of song, which kind of music you usually hear when you go to your training session?
Hip hop. It's usually hip hop or rap, and a lot of my students hate me for it, but they don't really have a choice.
I really love you for this. Your favorite food?
Favorite food? Oh, it used to be burgers, but since Famous O's Pizza came around, it's pizza.
Oh, their pizza, it's from another world. Next one. The best quality you can find in a training partner?
Best quality you can find in a train? Patience.
Great. The biggest goal, the main goal you want to reach in BJJ?
For any of my students to not, I mean, would it be world champion? Maybe. I mean, that's quite a goal. For any of my students to exceed me, I want my students to be competing and doing better than me.
Great. The favorite city you ever visit?
My favorite city? Oh gosh. I think it would have to be either Tokyo or Rio.
Oh, that's great. Both that's great.
Pretty awesome.
Best weather to train, summer or winter?
In Pakistan, winter. In Europe, summer, definitely.
Great. Okay, 10-0. You beat me. Congrats, bro.
Thank you. I like this game.
Yeah, it's kind of fun just because many times the people have simple questions to ask. We are doing so deep in some topics, and the people don't know these simple questions. That's why I create
little details.
The game, you know.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Brother, I want to ask you about books. If related with BJJ or not, it's up to you. Do you have some book? What is the favorite one you want to share with our guys here? And say something.
It's called The Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. I've had this copy for maybe 15 years, and I keep coming back to it. It's like it's compared to The Art of War by Sun Tzu, but I just find this applies a little bit more to life, a little bit more to Jiu-Jitsu, and I just understand his writing a little bit better. It's written in the 1600s, 1643 or something like that, by Miyamoto Musashi, who's one of the most well-known swordsmen of Japan. He's a legend. And I just think it's a great book. You know, there are other books like Drill to Kill by Andre Galvao, and you know, there's loads of books for Jiu-Jitsu, but this one I feel like for mindset, there's nothing like it, personally.
Right. Yeah. Like if you want to choose just one, that will be the one.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Now we are close to the end of the episode. I want to tell you to give us a message and also a message for your team, for your academy, who follow us and the guys who know us for the first time.
For the people that are signing in the first time, thanks for listening. I hope you guys found this informative and entertaining. For for the team, I don't necessarily talk too much about myself at the club. So, it might be interesting for some of the students to learn a little bit more about me. And I'm just really grateful to all the students who come and train, that make our team a better team. They make us all better. They all help each other. And, I look forward to many more years of training together.
What a message. And even if the guys need to know something about you, just ask me, guys. Just send me a message on private. I will send it to you.
I think too many of them do that already.
All the times when this guy went on Team Nogueira Dubai and smashed me on that mat. I never forget this.
We have different memories.
Brother, and let us know about your goals for this second semester in 2020 and 2021, please.
I don't believe in goals, like annual goals, or, when the new year is coming, people are like, oh, what are your New Year goals? I don't have New Year goals. It's just every day, there's something to work on. I have midterm goals, long-term goals, but nothing that I'm like, oh, I want to lose some weight, or, oh, I want to gain some weight. I want to be stronger. I want to be, every aspect of myself that I'm aware of. There are a lot of aspects that we're not aware of ourselves, but whatever I'm aware of myself, I'd like to get better. There's one guy, David Goggins, who's like a retired Navy SEAL, runs. He's one tough, crazy guy. And I used to think that I'm trying to be better, but I'm only trying to be better at the things I like Jiu-Jitsu. But you have to try and be better at everything, even the things you don't like. So that is the goal, to just get better.
Right. So that is the reason why you practice no gi, right?
That's the reason I practice no gi, right?
Okay, guys, we are fresh on time. I want to say thank you again to my brother Alisha for being here on this episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Café podcast.
My pleasure.
He's a genuine brown belt. We see a lot of bullshitsu guys over the world, but this guy in Karachi, he's really a truly martial artist. He's a kind of modern samurai. And if you are in Karachi, just visit there as soon as this pandemic mess get under control. And thanks again, bro. I counting down to see you in person.
Thank you for having me, Carlos. It's been a great pleasure. I'm so glad to catch up. We are in touch anyway. It's nice to see you, and a real honor to be here on your podcast.
Nice to see you too, bro. So, guys,
thanks for listening, guys.
See you on the next episode. Thank you again, Alicia, and stay safe.
USA.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.